Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1204A, and today's date is February 14th, 2017, and the title of the episode is The TPP Has Been Rewritten, Shrouded in Secrecy, and is Worse Than Before. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, out in Europe, they've been telling us that the European countries, they're doing very well. Manufacturing's up, everything looks great. And then we get information that the Eurozone economy, well, it grew less than initially estimated in the last quarter of last year, as industrial output recorded the worst fall in over 4 years in December. And this is what these central banks, these governments do. They put out information, which is propaganda, manipulated information, and they put that out into the news. And everyone thinks that the Eurozone, the United States, and the rest of the private Western central bank countries, they're doing fantastically. And then all of a sudden, they wait and they go back months later and they start revising the data. We see it happen in the United States all the time because what they're doing is they're putting out the propaganda, but they never report that, oh, here's the headline. We just revised the information for December. It was a lot worse than we thought. The economy's not doing as well as we thought. No, they never mention that part. They just leave it as, oh, the economy's doing great in December. Look at these numbers. And then February or March or whatever the time frame is, they go back and say, okay, let's quietly revise them down. They really didn't do the way they were. The economy didn't do what it was supposed to, and no one will know. And this way, if they revise the numbers down far enough, they can boost the numbers for the next quarter. And this is what we see happening. Now, it's happening in the European Union. They're doing the same exact thing, where the 19 countries, well, they saw growth of 0.5%. It was lowered to 0.4%. And what we're going to see is that this is going to be revised probably once again, probably down to 0.3%. Because what we're seeing right now is there's no way that these economies are doing well. Many of the countries in the Eurozone have a huge amount of debt. We see Italy, France, Greece, we know the UK. They're looking to leave the EU. They don't even want to be a part of it anymore. Because unemployment is continually rising. Their economies aren't doing as well as which is being reported, and things are declining very rapidly. Now, here in the United States, American CEOs, they have never been more optimistic than they are today, which is absolutely meaningless. Because as you know, as a CEO of a company, what they look at is the bottom line. Now, if they lay off 5,000 people, they buy back their shares are up, they think, wow, everything is fantastic. Look how well we are doing. But sales are down, revenue's not coming in, but they don't care about that. They only look at cutting costs and continually pushing their stocks higher. If that's happening, they feel good. So this really is completely meaningless. Now, while these CEOs are feeling fantastic, we see that Credit Suisse is announcing another 6,500 layoffs after reporting a loss in 2016. And we can see right now that this is continually happening where companies, they cannot make it and they're laying off thousands of people. Now, we know that Trump is continually trying to say he's bringing back jobs, but he hasn't created any. And he won't be able to create any. Even though he's making deals with these companies, it's all a publicity stunt at this point. Because if you look at all the companies, Ford, GM, and the rest, their plans to move to Mexico, well, it's still happening. They haven't changed their plans. And we're seeing that nothing has changed right now in the economy. Actually, things are changing. It is getting worse and worse. As more and more people get laid off, that means less income is coming in, which means less revenue is going to the government. Now, we have to remember something very important here. The U.S. consumer spends $1 in every $3 in the world. And it is this that really gives them their power and why China fears tariffs. The global economy is dependent on U.S. consumption. Now, think about this for a second. What has been happening lately? Well, individuals have been laid off. They either can't find work or they find part-time work, which means they don't have the disposable income. If they don't have the disposable income, they're not going out to retail to purchase goods. Retail then contracts. We're seeing retail contract. If retail contracts, the factories, well, they're not going to produce. Industrial output will decline. That's what we're seeing. If that declines, then the factories don't need the raw materials. This is what we are seeing right now, which means that the people here in the United States, they don't have the ability to go out and spend, which means manufacturing companies like China, they're going to slow down. And this is a ripple effect throughout the world. Because what we're seeing right now is that everything is pretty much dependent on the United States. There was a time where we had the manufacturing, we had the jobs, people had disposable income, and they were out there spending. But since that time, it doesn't exist. And things are contracting all over the place. Look at our GDP. It's like 1.5 or 1.8%. Actually, that's the manipulated number. If we look at the real number, it's in the negative range. And since Bretton Woods, where they had this global recycling system, well, that is breaking down right now. The whole thing is polarized. It's not doing anything. And the whole thing is basically dead. That is what is happening right now. So when people say, well, China is going to be the trigger for all of this, actually, no, it's the United States. Because the people have no work. The people aren't spending. I mean, it's going to look like it's China, but really, it really comes from the United States. Because what these individuals have done is they have moved the manufacturing out of the United States, moved the jobs out of the United States. We've become a service industry, and there's no country that can survive as a service industry. It just won't work. This is why they're looking to test the universal basic income. It looks like California might be a test case where they're going to try this, where they're just going to give everyone, a couple $100. And they're going to hope that these people go out and they spend the money. Well, just like when the gas prices came way, way down, people didn't go out and take that extra money and spend it on retail. They saved it because people realize, listen, I'm not making a lot of money right now or making no money. I'm not going to spend it on junk. I don't need it. I need food. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay my electric. That's all they're going to do. That's it. When you see the GDP with spending, that is from Obamacare. Premiums continually moved up, which made GDP move up. Where they said, oh, look, spending is incredible. No. Strip away Obamacare, spending is a disaster. So what we're seeing right now is things are rapidly falling apart. Now, during Trump's campaign, he said a lot of things about the Fed. Here's a list of 5 of them. Janet Yellen is highly political. He said this November 3rd, 2015. When her time is up, I would most likely replace her. That's May 5th, 2016. The Fed has created a very false economy. September 5th, 2016. She's doing what Obama wants her to do. That's September 12th, 2016. Yellen should be ashamed of herself. September 12th, 2016. Now we know that Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, they are looking to audit the Fed. We know the Fed does not want to be audited because, of course, it's a private corporation, and if we audit them, we're going to find out a lot of things we do not like. Now, Trump, by saying all these things, gave the impression that he's going to go after the Fed. And at this point in time, so far he has not. This is the leading problem around the world, the central bank. The central bank is the problem because they deal in debt. They put countries into debt. They create wars when their system breaks down. And if Trump doesn't move to remove the Fed, well, nothing's going to change in this economy. It will not get better. It will not improve. He will not move any jobs back here to the United States. Nothing will happen. Now, we know that Trump, he got rid of TPP. But TPP, well, it's not really gone. What they've done is they started to rewrite TPP. It's shrouded in secrecy right now, just like the TPP. There are leaks that come out from it, and the new TPP is the Trade in Service Agreement, known as TISA. And negotiations for TISA have been going on since April 2013, when they realized that TPP was going to be a problem. So right now, these nations have gone through at least 21 rounds of negotiations on this agreement. The countries that are involved in this are Australia, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, New Zealand, Norway, Switzerland, the US, of course, Pakistan, and many others. So why is TISA so bad? Well, the Trade and Service Agreement, if passed, would prohibit regulations on the financial industry, eliminate laws to safeguard online or digital privacy, render illegal any buy local rules at any level of government, effectively dismantle any public advantages to the derived from state-owned enterprises, and eliminate net neutrality. Earlier drafts of TISA also prohibit any restrictions on the size, expansion, or entry of financial companies, and a ban on new regulations like Glass-Steagall, which we know that Trump wanted to reenact Glass-Steagall. So what we're seeing right now is that TISA is doing exactly what TPP did, but on steroids. And we know that TPP, they wanted to bring foreign workers into this country and have them work making the same wages they would be making in their country, which would make it very difficult for the American worker to find jobs. We also know they want to implement a corporate court system which is above the government's court system, which removes the sovereignty from that country. This is all still in TISA. They still want this. Now, interestingly, they left China out of this completely. And what we're seeing right now is TISA is definitely the backup plan for TPP. And we can see they're going to be trying to push this. Now, what is Trump going to do? We don't know at this point. Because we can see at this time that there are many things happening in the government. We can see that the elite, the central bankers, they are pushing their agenda. They're trying to push Trump into what they want him to do. They're telling him certain things. And you have to remember, since he got into the White House, they have been pushing their agenda to make him either obey what they want, or they're going to get rid of him one way or another. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.